God says, wake up. He says, or it says, wake up from what you call me and you. He says, wake up from your small m me to me, big M me. God is me, big M me. Wake up from your small m me to what is really your big M me. Wake up so you see clearly. Waking up means you are never ever separate from the conditions of life. No matter what is arising right now, you are awake, you are intimate. But what seems to be otherwise is because you are making a small m me thousands and millions and trillions of Mr. Billions people, past and present, have been making, creating a small m me because they hadn't heard God telling them to wake up to that reality with a capital R, which is beyond and prior and was always there and has always existed because it was never born and will never die prior to what you have created and call your small m me. I don't need to tell you what your small m me is about. We all know that small m me is all about me against you. Small m me wants to win. Small m me wants to be satisfied. Small m me and all what it's about, its business, wants to be acknowledged. Small m me wants to be in control. Small m me doesn't want to be annihilated. Small m me wants his or her own way. It's been happening for centuries, millennia. And occasionally we've had teachers in the past like Buddha and Jesus and the mythological Krishna and Mohammed telling us to wake up. Because small m me is always in trouble. Small m me is living in fear of what the other might think and say and do. The small m me is never satisfied. The small m me is often confused. The small m me is seeking for happiness. The small m me wants to be consoled and wants to be satisfied and wants to be stimulated. The small m me wants nothing but knowledge and more knowledge and more knowledge. And the small m me wants to be looked after. But there is a reality that is far removed from the small r reality. The big R reality, as I said, was never born and will never die. It's the reality represented from an open hand, whereas the small r reality is represented by the clenched fist. Due to this activity within the body and the mind, we create a small me, a personality, an image. Do you really think that's a good way to live? Full of dilemma, confusion, fear, anxiety, looking over your shoulders to see what the other person might be thinking of you. The God condition, the God disposition is always already the case. And in that disposition, the body-mind is already happy. The name of my channel, Be Already Happy. Be your true state, your true condition at all times. No separation. But everyone's doing separation. Here is the true state, and here is the separative state. Instead of merging or being intimate at all times, we're living like clenched fists. God says, awaken to your real condition of already happiness. Be in love. Be joy. Be delight. Be fearless. Be egolessness. Be egoless. This is ego in the mind. Always is chit-chatting going on in the mind. Is your mind ever rested? Do you ever feel at peace? Do you want me to satisfy you? Yes, you do. You want the other to satisfy you. Do you want me to love you? Yes, you do. Do you think you're important? Yes, you do. Have you got an image to uphold? Yes, you have. Do you have a status in society? Yes, you have. A position? Yes, you have. My teacher, there's a picture of him just there, Adidal Samraj, taught me about what everyone's doing. This affliction, this contraction, this separate act. It's at the root, this self-contraction, which is not necessary, is at the root of all anxiety, fear, dilemma, depression, unhappiness, suicide, wars, competition, me against you. It's the root cause. It's not necessary. We're contracting away from the God reality, from the God state, from the state that is always already the case. We add contraction to the conditions of life. It's like adding a crease to the paper. It's not necessary. We're doing this. It's pinching. We're pinching ourselves in our heads and in our hands, in our bodies. This pinch is at the root of all bodily feelings. And thoughts. To simply be is to simply be happy. Beyond dogmas, beyond cultures, beyond religions. the human being, the body-mind, is not religious. You add religion to yourself. It's inherently happy. The body-mind isn't inherently fearful and anxious and problematic. It's inherently ecstatic, free, intimate, joy, delight. Do you like my beard? This self-contraction is not necessary. As I said, it's at the root. It's not necessary. It's at the root of dilemma, of fear, of anxiety, of so-called problems, of dilemma. God says, you see, everything needs a voice. But this hasn't got a voice of its own. This hasn't got a voice of its own. This hasn't got a voice of its own. We have to speak for the inanimate objects and things of life. Our mother, our parents, our teachers, they were our first mouthpieces. They were God in our eyes. Whatever my mother said, it was gospel. I didn't know that at the time. Didn't know the word gospel when I was 2. My mother would say, eat this. We depended upon our mother saying, eat this and don't eat that. Do this and don't do that. They were the first mouthpieces of God. Drink this, don't drink that. Water is wet, this is dry. Don't touch that because it's hot. Put this on because it will keep you warm. Babies are so vulnerable. They require 24/7 attention. As adults, we expect more and more attention. We still expect attention. We're so bloody childish, full of childish ways and adolescent ways. 1 minute we want to be loved, next minute we say, fuck, we say, go away, we don't want to know you anymore. One minute we're loving, next minute we're not. Next minute we're on this diet, next minute we're off that diet onto another one. Always in dilemma about what our regimes should be, etc. The body-mind is full of life when there's no contraction. When you are awake, you see clearly what needs to be done. You function accordingly. You see clearly what's good to eat and not so good to eat. Your intelligence is heightened in this disposition. One's intelligence and your intelligence and my intelligence are the same. The consciousness with a capital C is simply consciousness. The air you breathe is the same as the air I breathe. The water you drink, maybe from a different source, is the same water as I drink. Water is H2O, and that's it. Final. Air is whatever it is. That's it. Final. If 10 of us are huddled around a fire, the fire warms each one of us in the same way. Though it might be hotter when you're closer than when You're not so close. But the fire is the same source. The heat comes from the same source, I should say. So the sun is heating the whole world with its rays in the same way here, there, and everywhere. So our true state of already happiness is the same for each and every one of us. But it's this contraction that seemingly makes all these differences. There are millions and millions of CDs and DVDs, but at one time they were all blank. There's millions of blank ones, but there are trillions of CDs and DVDs that have a different content on them. But at one time they were all the same, all blank. Paper, trillions of pages of books. But one time the page was blank. It's the same. So prior to the writing is the blank page. Prior to the content on the CD is a blank CD. Prior to the film is a blank DVD. It's this prior condition that God says you need to realize. You need to realize it. It's the only way out of the only true way out of dilemma and problems and concerns and I'm right and you're right, all the dilemmas and the doubts and the fears and the anxieties. The only way out is to awaken, to be enlightened, to wake up from the dream. Open eyes. And then you are just love. No matter what, you are simply love. You cannot help but be love. That doesn't mean you can't raise your voice and be angry, because anger is a very, very open. True anger is so open. True sorrow is so open. There's no contraction on the body-mind, on the emotional state of the body-mind. But it's not a dramatization. It's an actuality. So God says, be an emotional person. Be what the body-mind is. La, 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 la. Be, and then be. You see, all the extremes are there. All the duality, all the opposites the body-mind can perform. A good actor performs them all. A good pianist, the gradations, or a singer, the gradations of different tone levels, all coming from the same place, the same disposition. Lo, 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 lo. La, 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 This isn't the greatest body-mind to produce or I should say, this body-mind is not capable of producing what these great tenors and great sopranos are able to produce. I say the word great. They've trained the body-mind. The skills that the hands can have, the great pianists, their skills are the great acrobats, great gymnasts. I say the word great, I don't know if it's the right word to use. These skills are learned. They've disciplined the body-mind to a very high degree. But do they add the contraction? Are they contracting at times? It's not necessary. Self-contraction is at the root of self-consciousness. When an other walks into the room, according to the Indian saying, fear arises. When there's no other, there's no fear. So there's no other, there's no thing, there's nothing. There's a oneness. There's no separation. We see the pictures, we see the chair, we see the clothes, we see the hair. There's no separation. There's a oneness. So God says, wake up and be that reality, that God reality, that God state, that God disposition, here, there, and everywhere. Just as air is found here, there, and everywhere, water is found here, there, and everywhere, God, the God state, represented by the open hand, is here, there, and everywhere, no matter where, no matter where, no matter what's happening. Allow the body-mind to dance, to sing, to be happy. Stop constricting. Stop doing the contraction. Notice it and don't do it. How do you stop doing it? By falling in love. Falling out of love with the small m me, falling in love with the big M me. And my master, Adidar Samraj, a picture of him is all that I require to remain here.